Hi, Royal Enfield fans. Going through my bookcase the other day, I saw that I had quite a few books on Royal Enfields and bullets, and thought I might give you a review of each one of these. Some are essential, some are just okay, but wanted to go through these and let you know, since it's coming up on the holiday season when I'm making this and posting it, there's a few stocking stuffer ideas for spouses and girlfriends and boyfriends to get you something for Christmas holidays. So we'll start with you bullet folks. Actually, most of these are going to be about bullets, but first is this one. This is the Hitchcock's Royal Enfield Bullet Catalog. And if you don't have one of these yet, boy, you really need to get one. This is chock full of just everything that you could ever want for a bullet. I mean, it's just, there's so much stuff in here. It's like being a kid in a candy store shopping through this thing. And I buy almost everything from Hitchcock's because their prices are actually very reasonable. And even though they're in England, the shipping takes mere days to get to me here on the east coast of the U.S. Maybe like 3, 4 days. The shipping's a little expensive, mind you, but they do a really great job of supplying parts. And I mean, there's virtually nothing that you can't buy. It's all in this catalog, and the catalog's very helpful to have. So get yourself a copy of that if you don't have one, if you're a bullet owner. Next one I would talk about is the Essential Buyer's Guide, which isn't necessarily as essential as they'd like you to believe. This is a series of books called Essential Buyer's Guides, and they have them for various motorcycles. You can see it's not a very thick volume. It's printed in England, and it's written for the English market. So there's a lot of stuff in here that's specific to Britain or the UK. They give you advice on, buying it at auction or things like that. And it's some of the information is just going to be completely useless if you're here in the U.S. But I will say that there is some useful stuff in here, particularly if you're not a technical person that's worked on a lot of bikes or maybe doesn't know a lot of things mechanically. It gives you a lot of basic stuff to look at when buying any motorcycle to start with, and then it goes into specifics about the bullet models, and it'll tell you when things changed and which models might be better for you. For example, here we talk about the B5s, and then there's a section on the 65 and Electra. And so there's a fair amount of that, and then they get into some specific things about, how it should operate. It's not a bad book if you buy it inexpensively. The normal price on these, I think, is kind of ridiculous. I got this on sale at Amazon for quite a bit off. It was on sale. And for, 10, $15, it's okay. But I wouldn't pay, $20, $25 for it because it's just not that valuable. Suggested retail $25 now. It's not worth $25. But if you can get it for, maybe about half that, it's not a bad deal. Then we go back to the historical books, and there's basically two different ones here that I have. Hitchcock's recommends this one, The Story of Royal Enfield, by Hartley, and it's a good book. This is a hardbound edition. You can get it from Hitchcock's. It's kind of hard to find otherwise. And I would suggest, by the way, checking with Hitchcock's if you're going to be looking for these books, because a lot of the domestic sellers here in the U.S. will have these books up and be trying to get ridiculous money for them, like they're collector's items. And this book is available now as a reprint again. So there's no reason to pay super stupid pricing for an original from the 1980s or 90s, whenever it was first published, when you can get a current reproduction. I mean, it's fine to get this one. There's nothing wrong with the condition of it or anything. But this tells the story of the company from start to finish. It covers everything up to the 1970s. It's good. It's maybe a little dry reading. It's not a great storytelling type book, but if you're a history buff on these bikes, you probably would enjoy this one. If you're looking for information about the bikes and the technical differences and the changes over the years, this is the one to get. This is a really good book for all of that stuff. And they cover, I mean, he goes into real good detail about, you know, each individual model and when things changed and what year and all that kind of stuff. And this particular chapter has been very helpful to me for interceptor information. And these books are always, all of these books pretty much are written in England by the British guys. So some of the information is going to be a little biased towards that. But for example, this book does mention American model differences and the fact that a lot of the twins and so forth were all sent here. It does talk about the Indian branded models, not the Indian built models, but the motorcycles that were rebadged as Indians. That happened in the 1950s. And it does talk about those too in this book. I really like this one. It's been very helpful to me. Another history book is this one about the people that worked at Royal Enfield. The cover's kind of terrible, I think. I don't think it's a very good cover for selling this book. But it's a great book to read if you just want to sit down and read little brief vignette stories about the company. These are interviews with employees that used to work at Redditch, and it's filled with a lot of photos too. But we got, I mean, every perspective from management to test riders to engineers to the women that worked in reception. I mean, it's just, it's a great book. I don't think it gets enough attention out there. And it's got a lot of really good photos in it, too. But some of the stories are really interesting and endearing. You get the impression coming out of reading this that a couple of things. My takeaways were Royal Enfield didn't pay very well. But the people that worked there, they worked hard, but they also seemed to treat it as sort of a family. And you really get a sense that there was some pride working there. A little bit more maybe so than, say, BSA down the road. I really enjoyed reading this thing. It was a lot better than I thought it was going to be. And you can pick these up. I think Amazon's got this one. It's not a very expensive book. Really enjoyed that one. So if you like history and stories and that kind of thing and verbal tales of the past, that's a great book to pick up. And like I said, the pictures in there are also very good. And lastly, this one is the story of my motorcycle, Emma, that I bought in pieces and put back together. And so I'm a little biased in thinking that this is a pretty cool book because it's got my picture on the back. This is the original first edition. I've since updated it to include the second bullet that I resurrected, which was done for a friend of mine. It wasn't actually my bike. So it's a thicker volume than it used to be. But I have it priced very low so everybody can buy it, and it's very affordable. It's on Amazon both in print and digital form. And if you like reading a story about a guy putting together back together something that was in pieces and all the problems that he had and the trials and tribulations from a mechanic who's not particularly skilled at motorcycles but has worked on other things over the years, you might enjoy this. I'd like to see you buy it, of course. It's actually been pretty popular. I've written other books. All of the other ones are fiction books. And this, by far, is the best-selling book of all of mine. I'm actually kind of surprised at how many copies of this thing Amazon sells for me. So, if you want a fun little read, it's not super long, and it maybe gets bogged down a little bit sometimes in technical stuff because I'm talking about how to take apart things and put them back together. So if you're not a mechanically minded person, maybe you won't find it as endearing. But If you're a wrencher, I think you'll enjoy reading about my escapades and my failures, and maybe even learn something about working on bullets. And that's bullet specific. It's iron barrels only is all I've ever worked on as far as bullets go. But these are my essential collection of Royal Enfield books. There are a couple other volumes out there. If you're an Indian built bullet owner, are these books going to be particularly helpful? Well, no. Other than the Hitchcock's catalog and maybe my book, all the rest of the stuff, well, this one does too. This one's pretty heavy on Indian built stuff. Uh, but these other ones that are Royal Enfield brand specific, the history volumes, are all going to be mostly about the factory in Redditch, England. They do mention India. I think there's a chapter in each one of these two middle books about the Indian operation, and there are some books specific to the operation in India and the Indian built bullets. I don't have those. Hitchcock's does sell them. I know at least one of them's a little expensive, so I haven't done the opening of the wallet for those yet. But if you're interested in the company and where the bullet came from, these are all very useful for that. So I hope that was of some value to you. You can order these up from Hitchcock's or Amazon. Some of them sometimes show up on eBay, but again, be careful of the pricing on them because I've found that a lot of people are really asking way too much. One of the funny things is on eBay, you'll find a lot of editions of the Hitchcock book, the older catalogs, and they're trying to get 10, 15 bucks for a 10-year-old out-of-date catalog. So just pay attention to what you're getting. Don't spend too much for something that's not current. So that's it. Just wanted to bring that out to give you guys a little extra something here in the holiday time and see if that would help you out. And I'm stumbling on my words, so I'm going to quit now. Happy shopping, and if you want a signed copy of Dodging Bullets, hit me up. I'll help you out. Thanks for watching.